So, just how good does your portfolio need to be to land your first job when you're a self-taught web developer? In this video, I'm going to show you what my portfolio looked like when I first created it, what it looked like when I got my first job, and what it looked like when I got my most recent job about a year ago. Also, I'm going to try to show a little bit of the progress along the way. For those of you who are new here, I'm Dorian, a self-taught programmer who's been working professionally as a developer for the last 3 years. I created this channel to share my story of becoming a self-taught programmer in order to help motivate people who are teaching themselves how to code. If that's something you're into, please make sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel. All right, let's start with my very first portfolio. So when I first thought about doing this video, I, was thinking about what my portfolio was gonna look like visually. I didn't think about what my code was gonna look like. And it's kind of funny because this was right after my initial commit, which I'll show you was right here in Hello World. So this was basically my first real commit to my portfolio, and you can see the date here. It's definitely, been a while since I visited this stuff, and it's just pretty cool to look at it. But it's also cool to just see how far I've come, because I haven't looked at a commit of mine this old in a really long time. And I'm looking, and the formatting is awful, and it's just really sloppy, and I'm kind of using like camel case for my naming, which it's a little unorthodox for the most part when it comes to naming classes in HTML and CSS, and just really bad formatting. I didn't know what I was doing. There's a good chance that I probably copy and pasted some of this stuff and just try to patch it together. I'm really trying to remember where I was back then when I created this, but it's just been so long ago that I have a empty jQuery function ready here, and then my CSS was terrible too, and to see it and to think how far I've come since the first days of me creating my very first portfolio. So you see the date here, and this is what it looked like. This was it. This was what my first portfolio looked like. I think I created this from the task on Free Code Camp to create your own portfolio, and that's what I did. And it's terrible. It's awful. The picture I chose is so cringy. I was trying to look professional. It's funny because I don't wear button ups. I have like 2 of them, and they're mostly for job interviews. I'm a t-shirt and jeans kind of guy. I don't. It's just not really my thing. But I was thinking that maybe just trying to look professional. I think that's the same picture I put on my LinkedIn account, and that's it. I had the stuff that's on here is it's not even real stuff. I deleted most of them, but I guess the images and screenshots that I took to put on my portfolio are still here, so it's kind of funny to look at. But these were just kind of like mock sites that I was creating when I was practicing, and that was the first rendition of my father-in-law's handyman site, when I just threw a template on it before I coded it out in HTML and CSS on my own. And it's awful. It's a really terrible looking contact form. So a lot of you out there are gonna this is where you're gonna start. This is what your stuff is gonna look like early on. And it's fine. It's gonna look bad. It should look bad. You're new. You're just learning things. Things are I doubt this is responsive. I'll shrink it down to see. I think I might have been using Bootstrap at the time, so at least it's semi-responsive. I really wasn't expecting it to be, but yeah, I guess I was smart enough to be using Bootstrap at that time. Apparently, I was a hobbyist web developer with a working proficiency in HTML, CSS, and jQuery. Yeah, well, it's funny. Okay, so let's just move on. Let's move to something a little bit newer than that. Since that was so here's my initial commit. That was this commit here that we were just looking at. And you can see this goes back to 2016. It's been a while since I first started learning how to code. Go to something newer. Let's see. Let's see. Added parallax effect to head image. Let me get that commit number real quick, and let's go see what this looked like. Copy that. And let me just scroll down this real quick so we can look at the code. So you guys and girls out there, don't feel bad, don't feel discouraged if your stuff just looks awful, because it's supposed to. You're just learning. All right, it seems like I was getting a little bit better here. Stuff's a little more properly formatted. Or at least not as poorly formatted as that first initial commit was. So it looks like I was getting a little bit better. I was starting to learn. I mean, this is still, I deleted that, and this stuff came in a little bit better, but still I didn't know how to nest my my stuff, and I wasn't using a formatter like Prettier or anything at that time. So yeah, that's just what it looked like. All right, I copied that. Let me go ahead and go to VS Code real fast here. Let's reload that. And all right, so a few months later, the first one we were looking at was November 2016. This commit was February 2017. Okay, so you can see I've improved a little bit. I remember when I was working on this. It's so cool to actually like go back and like jog back these memories. I remember I had a hard time putting this to center it in the screen, to kind of have it right where I wanted it. And then I also had a hard time with it being responsive. And I don't know if it's responsive at this point, and it seems like it was fairly responsive, but even then when I get down to the smaller screens, it's pretty bad. But I was starting to get a little bit more skills here. I was starting to actually like looking at this compared to what I first showed you after a few months. You can tell I was learning. I was working on my HTML and CSS skills. I don't even know what I was trying to do here. I was trying to make like a product page with Bootstrap and just a mock page. And that's what I did before I was able to really get any work. I think I talk about that in other videos. But early on, before I could get any kind of work, I just made fake pages to kind of see if I could get a little bit of practice and to just have stuff to put on my portfolio. I have a resume here. It's there. I don't want to download it because it probably and show it because it probably has a lot of personal information on there. But it's I don't know. It's fun going back and looking at this. To be honest with you, I wasn't expecting this to be as fun as it is. So I was expecting it to just be a little bit boring, but it's fun for me, so it might be boring for you. But let's see. Let's move to something else here. Let's move to something else. What do we got? Complete site overhaul. All right. Well, let's see what it looked like right before my complete site overhaul. I don't remember that at all. So this was right before the complete site overhaul commit. And yes, I did learn Git early on. I suggest that everybody does. It's great to have version control. It's something that every employer is going to want you to have. Most places use Git. Some places still use SVN, but for the most part, learn some form of version control because it's very handy to have. So let's see what this looks like. Oh, all right. What's this? I got a little... Something's bouncing over here. I was learning CSS animate. Oh, so I got critique from my portfolio at my first meetup that I attended, and someone snapped a picture of me while I presented my portfolio at the first meetup I ever attended, it was terrifying, it was horrific, and it was honestly one of the best things I could have done, because after that meetup, a lot of people came up to me They talked to me. I actually got a code challenge for a job, which I never completed because I was not ready. But it was a lot of fun, and it opened up my eyes to realize that there was a lot of people that would be supportive, even though when I felt like I was an outsider coming in and going into a room full of people who had experience and knew what they were doing. And I remember the coordinator of the meetup group basically signed me up. He asked me, "You gonna show anything today?" And I was like, "I was thinking about it." He was like, "All right, cool. I'm putting your name down." So I went up there, and it was very beneficial to go. But after that feedback, this is what my portfolio looked like. I put the picture up there. I spruced it up a little bit. Um, like I said, I would always go back and try to add stuff to this. All right, this is terrible. I don't recommend anyone doing something like this. It's a terrible way to try to represent your skills. This is something I saw at the time while I was learning, and I thought it'd be a cool way to display it, but the truth is there's no way to truly gauge your skills. And what are you comparing them to? What is 85% of what? It doesn't represent how long you've been working in anything. It's not anything that's going to bring value to your portfolio, unless you can make it look amazing, because I have seen some top-notch front-end devs on those world's greatest portfolio websites that you see, and they make it look good. Looking at this now, does not look good. And if I was looking at a junior developer that might be applying for a job, and they had this, I would tell them to get rid of that. And I hope I got rid of it on the next iteration from my complete site overhaul, as I called that commit message. But yeah, I guess I remember. All right, I remember I was breaking up my portfolio by learning projects that I was doing, because I felt that I was kind of lying to people if I just threw every tutorial that I was doing on my portfolio. So I limited it to things that I was actually creating. For instance, these projects were projects from Free Code Camp. And I remember the wiki viewer, where you use the Wikipedia API to create a website, and the weather widget to create a weather API widget, and a random quote generator. So these were really good to show on here because I had code in GitHub that I can show. It was stuff that I actually coded myself. What you want to stay away from is try not to list any tutorials where you really didn't code it on your own. And I actually did that in my portfolio, and I don't think I had it in my portfolio when I got hired, but I guess we'll find out. But try to limit the things on your portfolio to things that you've actually coded yourself, if you can, or been part of a team that coded it. So yeah, I had my learning projects up here, and then I had my sites I've made, and there's the my father-in-law's handyman site, my buddy's sister's hairdresser site, a little WordPress a niche website that I was making at the time to learn WordPress, my WordPress blog at the time that I was making to again try to learn WordPress and have that as something I can put down as experience. Some of those other fake mock websites that I created, I made a little like landing page website for my friend that was a rapper that I worked with, and that was his site there, and then the little site that I was volunteering on over there. So that was it. And then I had my updated and nicer looking contact, which honestly I think I kept the same contact form. I don't think I ever changed it after this, except for maybe the colors. So it's kind of funny. And then yeah, I was going crazy with CSS Animate. Don't have too much stuff on your page that moves around. I did that later on too, which can get obnoxious. You have to have that just right. You can't overdo that kind of stuff. So all right, let's move on to another commit here, the complete site overhaul. Where was that? Where am I? All right, complete site overhaul. Let's look at this real quick. All right, let's get this commit, copy. Let's see the code. All right, it's still Still a little sloppy in the formatting. I don't know what was going on there. All right. That's a big commit. I'm not gonna go down that whole file, but let's uh let's see what it looks like. I copied that. Oh man, I wasn't lying. That was a complete site overhaul. Oh yeah. So when I applied for my first job, I kept the site looking a lot like this, and this was the hero image that you would land on. And the lead front end developer there, when he opened up my portfolio in front of me, just he let out like the biggest laugh because he was like, "Oh, that's an awesome picture." So make sure you try to like show your personality in your portfolio. Have something that'll make you stand out a little bit more than the next person. It can be something subtle. This was a picture I told my wife I needed a good picture to try to take. It was actually one of the first pictures we took, and I was like, you know what, that's perfect. That engulfs everything I stand for. I'm a chill dude. I just like to code, so I'm like on a hammock in my shorts and flip flops, just coding, and that's kind of what I wanted to present. I'm not a suit and tie person. Most devs aren't, and I don't know why I ever thought I should have that kind of headshot. Some people can pull it off. I didn't like having the professional headshot there. So this was more up my alley. And then yeah, so let's look at the rest of it. Let's look at the rest of it. Look at that. The nitty gritty. Yeah, I don't know. At the time, I remember when I got feedback on my resume, I ended up taking out a lot of this stuff and seeing seeing this now is pretty funny because I was mentioning like the text editor I use and the operating system that I use and just stuff that people don't really care about. Personal information. It's good to have a sprinkle of that. So I kept this short with one line, but I don't know. These things are always really hard to get your message across and keep it a little bit personable and capture everything that you want to say in a short couple paragraphs. It's hard to do, and apparently I didn't believe in putting that in a container because it is stretching clear across the page, and that looks awful. Oh, accessibility issues right there. That hurts my eyes. I can still read it, but those colors are just yeesh. I don't know. I was going for loud colors. I think if the date, what was that, 2017? I think the thing was at this time was like these bright colors, and web design was like big letters and bright colors, and I don't know. It stood out. It seemed a little different than everything else, and yeah, and honestly, that's it. I think it was mostly just a color change from the previous one, so that was my complete site overhaul on that. So let's move forward a little bit. Let's get to the first one that landed me my first job. All right, let's see what else I added there. Oh, I got that little drop in there. Not bad, not bad. It actually looks a little better. I got rid of some of those loud yellows that were in there. I put a container on this thing and changed some of the text. Oh yeah, I remember I had these things here. Try to break that section up a little bit, and I felt like this was a better way of describing my skills at the time. And then I had my courseware section. So this is where I kind of fibbed a little bit. And again, I had projects in here that I coded 100% on my own, like these here. Um, but the fibbing came in where, and I guess it wasn't fibbing. I put the courseware projects that I've completed. The truth is, a lot of these other ones I just followed along with. And I don't know if I was trying to fluff my portfolio. I think at the time I was just trying to show people that I was eager and that I was building stuff, that I was working on stuff. And I think that's why I put that up there. I really don't know. I was just trying to, I felt more was better at the time. And honestly, more's not always better. So And then here we go. We got the couple websites that I did. Honestly, it's all the same stuff. I just kind of changed the layout around, and this is just an HTML, CSS, and a JavaScript file. And honestly, there's not pretty much. Maybe this might be the only bit of JavaScript that I'm doing in there, and that might just be an anchor, honestly. So I don't know. It was really just an HTML and CSS website with the little CSS animate for that bouncing there, and that was pretty much it. That was my first portfolio that got me my first job right there. Because yeah, I started shortly after that here. And let me see. I don't even know why I kept adding to this portfolio afterwards, because most people, and I guess you can see there it goes. Yeah, most people, when they get a job, they tend to not touch their portfolio for a long time. And so I'm curious as to why I felt that I kept needing to add to it. So yeah, I'm not sure. I think this may be my most recent. Yeah, so honestly, I guess I didn't add to it too much more after I got my first job, because then I stopped. This was it. This was my last commit as an HTML CSS portfolio. I ended up my next portfolio. I built it in Gatsby JS, which is a static site generator for React. So I ported over like all the styles that I had, but I started a brand new clean, from scratch Gatsby app, and ported over the styles and kind of built it in React, just because it was extreme overkill to make it a React uh, project. But I really wanted to show that I was learning React, and I wanted to show people that I was capable of at least styling stuff in React. I was using styled components at the time that was really popular, and I just really wanted to get into React. So when I started looking for my next job, I started coding it in React, and that's kind of why I moved it over to Gatsby. Just I figured if I'm going to be applying for React jobs, I might as well make my portfolio in React. But the funny thing is, I ended up getting an Angular job. So all of that for nothing. I could have just left it as an HTML and CSS portfolio, and it would have made no difference. So, you live and you learn, but it was good. I learned a lot about Gatsby. I learned a lot about React just moving it over, even though it was still kind of just a static, single page website that wasn't really doing much but showing a couple images and some text. Again, overkill, but I was doing it to learn, and I figured it'd be good to update it and move it over to something that was more current and show that I knew how to use a framework. So yeah, and we're gonna be showing that one next. So here we go. All right. So I actually had to install Gatsby and get all of this running because I'm actually on a newer machine, and I haven't worked in React and Gatsby in a really long time. So I forgot I didn't even have it set up on my current MacBook. So yeah, I got that all running, and I was able to find the best commit to start showing everyone after I ported my styles over from my old portfolio that was HTML and CSS, and then I moved everything over to Gatsby and got that all running and set up. I didn't want to show everyone that because I was looking through the commits and it was boring stuff, and it was just kind of just moving all the styles over, and nobody really wants to see that. I'll show you more finished product, and this is more finished product. So this is probably one of the first big updates after I had already been working for a while at my first real developer job, and I decided that I wanted to kind of update my portfolio a little bit and touch it up to make it reflect what I knew. And honestly, I was testing the waters too to see if if maybe I was ready for another job, because everyone knows the best way to get a raise as a developer is to get another job. Seriously though, I'm gonna make a video on that too in some other time, and maybe I'll link it here. Anyways, so here we have it. I'm gonna reload this real quick to show the sweet animations that I added. Earlier I was telling everyone, keep it light with the animations, because less is more sometimes. And I was really proud of myself when I got this working. My name coming in, little arrow dropping down. I believe I had that working in my HTML and CSS site, but I didn't see it on when I was showing everyone, so I'm not sure. And here we go. Scroll into reveal, I think is what it was called. It's a React library. Plug it in. Definitely got better at trying to express my skills and how to lay them out. You can also tell just by what this looks like after this was probably about a year. Let's check. This was about a year after I had already been working as a developer, just a little over a year, because I started in June of 2017 at my first job. So this was almost a year as a dev. So you can see how much better everything looks, how much cleaner everything looks. Although there's a lot of stuff moving around on the screen, I was able to lay it out and talk about it better. I had more skills that I could talk about, more things that I can kind of put on my portfolio. And yeah, I'm actually looking at this and I'm like, all right, this is when I started getting good. I was, I spent almost a year learning, and I spent a year doing it professionally. And you can see I kind of kept a lot of the same thing. This was my first little attempt of being a graphic designer. I found like the PNG with the transparent backgrounds for the monitor screens. And then I took screenshots of some of the pages that I had built and put them on there to display this like this. I was really proud of myself when I did this. I'll be honest with you. I'm not a graphic designer. Being a front end developer, I get to scratch that itch sometimes a little bit. And this was one of my big graphic design achievements. Whoa, look at that. That was pretty, I wasn't expecting that. But yeah, so there you have it. That's the update when I ported all the styles over and decided to make everything scroll a bit. So let's just try to get a little bit more current and see when I changed a lot of the styles overall on there. Let's see. Real quick look at the code. All right, now you can tell I'm using formatters. Everything's a lot cleaner. My code looks clean. Honestly, there's not enough comments in this code. That'd probably be one of the things that I would critique just looking at it, but there's really not much to have to comment. Honestly, it's just a little bit of CSS and whatnot. But I remember I didn't comment as much as I should have. And if you're starting to teach yourself how to code, make good use of comments. Make sure to comment as much as possible. You'll thank yourself in the long run. Even if you use very good clean coding practices, yes, self-documenting code is good, but good comments are very helpful, and just use comments as much as possible. If you feel that you're commenting enough, you're probably not, and you should comment some more. And if you're not commenting, then you really need to step it up and start commenting more on your code. But all right, so let's see this. Copy that. Let's go back to VS Code real fast. We've got Gatsby running now. And go over into here. Make sure I don't have any compile errors after, because I might have a library that is not supported or something, but it doesn't seem like I have any issues. And this should live reload. Oh, look at that. All right, I changed it to be along the palette of the Miami Nights theme. It's like a sneaker colored theme. I'm from Miami, and I don't know. I like these bright colors. I see I dimmed my background image a bit. Maybe it was making the letters hard to read, so I put a little opaque overlay on there. Oh, look at that. I'm using I think this is a Slick Slider plugin. Yeah, that's a cool little plugin that I think we were using at my job, and I was like, oh man, maybe I can put that on my portfolio. Oh yeah, another library. And this what's cool if you're using like React or something. There's a lot of libraries that you can use to make your portfolio look better. I didn't code any of this from scratch. I just figured out how to use that library. There's no real magic here. Everything's a library. I'm not a 10x developer. I'm just an average dev. But average is good enough to get a job, and honestly, most developers are average. There are some outstanding devs out there, but most of them have been doing it for a really long time. And if you've done something for most of your life, you're going to be really good at it too. But most of us are pretty average. At least that's what I've noticed. Oh, yeah, same contact form. Like I said, I just change some borders and some colors, and man, that pink on white is really hard. Yeah, I don't know why my colors were my color choice was this, but I liked them, and I think they stood out a lot. But since these all kind of look the same, I'm gonna just show my most recent portfolio because that was the big overhaul that I did from this style that you're seeing here to actually what it is now. If you went to my live URL to see it, let me see. Oh, yep. So this is my most recent commit, probably just around the time that I got hired at my most current job or was applying at my most current job. Seems the dates are lining up. So let's check this commit real fast, and I'll show you what it looked like. I updated it. I really put a lot of effort into making it look as good as possible. One of the designers I worked with at my previous job while I was applying for work, he, gave me a lot of feedback on my portfolio. He helped me out with a little bit of the design on it and helped me make it look really good. So let me just reload this because I don't know if I have the images drop in or anything. I got rid of a lot of the scrolling, a lot of the extra effects. It was loud. It was jarring at times, and it I didn't like it. The feedback I was getting from it from other developers that I knew, they kind of were just telling me to to tone it down a little bit, for lack of better words. So yeah, this is my most recent portfolio. If you go to my portfolio's URL, this is what you're gonna see there. It says a little bit about where I was working, what I was doing, and here I put everything. I was using Grid when I did this, with Grid and Flexbox. So this is all mobile responsive, using Grid, which of course I highlighted and talked about. I talked about also everything that I worked on, and I highlighted all my skills in these cool little you know images that I created. Again, I was really proud of these. I moved them over to be a laptop rather than the old bulky Mac monitor. I thought it looked a little better, and it seemed to add a good touch to it. I added a nice SVG background and just cleaned it up a bit. It looks way more professional. It looks a lot more clean. And this is my most recent portfolio. This is what I got my most current job with after about 2 years of experience, almost 2 years of experience. I was at my first job for about a year and 9 months, or a year and 10 months or so. And so, yeah, this is what my portfolio looked like after being a professional developer for 2 years, and what it looked like when I got me my most recent job for a front end developer job where I'm working at now. Um, it's nothing too fancy. I think it looks good. I'm proud of it. I know there's people out there that have portfolios that blow mine out of the water. I think I did a good job getting my point across into what I was capable of, and showing some of my work. And also I worked a lot on my resume, which is huge. I'll do a video on resume advice and how to seek it, how to lay out your resume, what people look for in a resume. I did a ton of research and work on my resume, and I went through so many iterations that I'll make sure to make a video on that to try to help people out who are trying to build their resume. So if you stuck around this long and you watched all of this, thank you. This is probably going to be one of my longest videos. I really wanted to show everyone kind of raw and uncut some of the progress and a real portfolio that got someone a job. This was my stuff. This is what I worked on. This is it. I don't work at Facebook. I don't work at Google. I'm not. I'm not the best developer, but I'm also self-taught. I've also been doing this for a short amount of time, and I make pretty good money doing it. I'm happy where I'm at. I have a great job, and it was all worth it. I struggled. It was a lot of hard work, and it's going to be a lot of hard work for you. But keep it up, and just keep at it. All right. I hope this video was helpful to anyone who is learning how to code and is doubtful that they'll be able to get a job. Trust me, if you keep it up, you'll do it. You'll get a job. The more you build, the more you'll improve. You saw it. I showed you my crappy little portfolio from the start all the way up until my most recent portfolio, which was just less than a year ago, and it got me my current position. So don't be doubtful when you're first starting out and you feel that you may never actually be able to accomplish this. Just persevere, push through, and trust me, just keep working at it and you'll get good enough to get a job. Because I felt that way, and I just kept going and I just kept going, and I was able to get the job. So if I did it, you can do it too. Trust me. With all that said, if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to like and subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. Oh, one last thing, I almost forgot. Make sure to check out this video here and this video here for more content that you might like.